Welcome back to Your Own University TV. My name is Lisha Antica, and we're going to talk about what sets you apart from everybody else in the world because you matter. Specifically today, we're going to talk about what to do and how to handle things when tragedy strikes. And I'm going to share a bit about what happened to me this last weekend and what I learned, and something that I think that all of us adults need to do in order to really make this world a better and safer place, not only for ourselves, but for our kids. All right, so trauma. This is one of my specialties. I don't know if you guys know this about me or not, but I've spent the last 20 years really researching how to recover from trauma. And it's been the focus of my education. It's been the focus of my life. It's something that I've dedicated my life to. But when tragedy hits you, when a trauma happens in your house, it's a whole different story. So today I'm going to share a couple tips that I've learned that helped me this time through a trauma that actually happened to my daughter. And I also want to talk a little bit about one thing that we can all do for ourselves as well as really for our kids. And something I think that if we band together, we might be able to do even more for our world. So what is a tragedy? A tragedy is something that happens that is unexpected. And when it's mixed with trauma, it is something that you don't really know how to cope with. So in this case, my daughter got into an accident with a four-wheeler. She actually was standing on the side of the road and got ran over by the four-wheeler. And nobody was expecting it. I happened to end up having a gut feeling, and I went back to where she was and found her in the ambulance and got to go to be of support. And what I learned in this situation is that it's okay not to have it all together. It's okay in new situations not to have those coping skills. That drama and trauma aren't necessarily a bad word. It just, drama means that a lot of action is going on, that a lot of things are happening at once. And trauma means that we don't have the coping skills to actually deal with it. And being a trauma therapist, oftentimes we hear, oh, trauma, 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 and it's this like horrible bad thing, when just like the word victim is simply a victimization of somebody, the word trauma gets a bad rap. So the first thing that you can do in any situation, but especially in these situations, is understand that you are in a dramatic, traumatic situation, and it is okay to have those normal responses. So what are those normal responses? It is fight, flight, or freeze. So you're gonna wanna do something as a parent, as a friend, as a person that is affected by a trauma. You're gonna want to fly away, you're gonna wanna fight, or you're gonna wanna freeze. In this instance, I wanted to fight a little bit. I wanted to fight for my daughter, but I was mainly in freeze mode. And I could tell this because I went numb. I went numb, so graciously my best friend pointed out, so I could breathe into the situation, I could accept it, and I could actually show up without getting all dramatic and freaking out and going into either flight or fight mode. And so these operation systems that we have in our bodies, the fight, flight, or freeze, are there to save our lives, to help us cope with the situation that, in other words, we don't know how to cope with. So Boom, we also make those wrong. We make it wrong to fight. We make it wrong to flee. We make it wrong to freeze. And in this case, my freezing, meaning that my body kind of going numb, my mind kind of going blank. So I was just present in the moment. I wasn't thinking ahead. I wasn't strategizing. I wasn't even coping. I was just like, what do the doctors need me to do? How do I show up? Was a beautiful thing. So recognize which of these areas you're in and then use it in a place of acceptance. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is to utilize a meditation technique that I'm actually going to do with you in one of the next videos, in one of the next whole pieces, because I want to share with you this central channel breathing and how you can ground and utilize your inner genetics, right? So your inner genetic energy code within yourself. This is your personal energy code. This is what your personal nervous system and your personal brain heart connection that allows you to cope with things that seem uncopable. Right? So when you're in a trauma, knowing how to recenter yourself, how to breathe properly, how to visualize the highest effect, how to connect in with the present moment is going to set you apart from anybody else. So even if you don't know how to cope with the situation, like I didn't know how to sew up my daughter's head or repair her knee or get her to settle down when she was in shock. I didn't know how to do that, but I did know how to breathe and keep myself in the present moment. So as I was told what to do, I could follow directions to the best of my ability, right? So this is really, really important. And the third thing to do is ask for help. Ask for help. And this is where I really want us as adults and parents to band together. So I'd love your comments. I'd love your feedback. I'd love your how-to. I'd love your expertise in this situation because I want to know what to do. I'm asking for your help right now. I really believe that I've been teaching yoga and wellness for over 20 years. And in that time, I have taken CPR classes every 2 years, right? And I know when I was in high school, and maybe you can relate, give me a thumbs up if you can, don't leave me hanging here. But I know when I was in high school, like we went to parties, right? And it happens, we begin to socialize outside of school. We begin to experiment with things that we probably shouldn't be experimenting with, but let's just admit that it happens. And we might get in trouble, right? Kids tend to be a little bit more careless with their lives because they feel a little bit more invincible than we do as adults. Let's just admit that, right? So no matter what they're doing, whether they're out snowmobiling or four-wheeling or riding horses or doing double backflips or deep diving or whatever they're doing that takes that strength and youthfulness, they are they're able to get hurt more. However, we're not educating our kids in a mainstream way about what to do when that happens. So one thing that I heard is the children came in and said, you know, I love you, I hope that you get better, to my daughter, is I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Like we said, call 911, but like nobody knew what to do. Nobody really wanted to talk to the cops. Everyone was kind of scared, right? And they weren't really doing, I mean, they were at a party, they might've been doing some stuff wrong, but it wasn't a huge rager. They were at a house, like it was okay, right? And so like these kids need to know that it's safe for them to call 911. They need to know when to call 911, when to move somebody if they're hurt, and when not to move somebody when they're hurt. Basic CPR in our schools is extremely important, I believe. And I would say at 9th and 11th grade, since we as adults and anybody else that is in the profession of health and wellness take CPR and first aid every 2 years, so should our youth. Everybody then in the entire world would know what to do, at least on some basic level, to help people if they've taken it at least 2 times. Then they'd also know if the cops came in and the authorities came in and said, hey, you call us and you're not gonna get in trouble. You call us and we're gonna be there for you. You call us and you can be anonymous, right? They'll know that. And it's not only in a situation where somebody breaks into their house or anything, they're also in situations where they're at a party, where they're out in the middle of nowhere, where they're doing something. So I believe that basic first aid is important, but more importantly, I believe that CPR is important for our youth. And that basically, clear the scene, is everybody okay, call 911, work together, teamwork, formula that CPR teaches is something that each and every one of our kids should have in their brain, drilled into their hearts, so they can work together. And if one of your kids or my kid gets hurt again, those cops, that authority, the ambulance, the police, whatever needs to be called is called in an efficient manner and as quickly as possible, so nobody gets really hurt. So if you're with me here, please give me a thumbs up. If you're part of the school board, then please think about this, bringing this into, I'm sure that our communities and your local hospital would be thrilled to come in and teach this. I mean, it's an 8-hour class, if even. It might even be a 4-hour basic CPR class, which would be 4 classes in health or leadership or outdoor rec or PE, right? Like any of these classes could have a basic CPR element to them, and really we could save lives all over the world. And it might save you, it might save your kid. All right, so give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about this idea. Let me know what you think about handling yourself in these traumas, and be turning on that subscription so you get notifications when I send out the next video, which is going to be the meditation that is going to help you stay centered and in your body when tragedy or drama or trauma strike. Thanks for being a part of Your Own University. We'll see you on the inside.